what's up? We got Ken popping in here, so we'll invite him up. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another episode of On the Wire. We are still live on YouTube, but we're going all in on the Twitter Spaces today. So let's go to that view for anybody watching on YouTube. If you want to join us, the link is pinned in the comments. We are going to have a bunch of folks just join us up on stage here and have a conversation about what's going on with the current currency crisis. There's been banking crises. You're hearing talks about de-dollarization. You're hearing talks about lots of different things happening in the financial sector. There's financial corruption. There's money schemes. There's games going on. People are selling NFTs for millions of dollars. What the hell is happening in this world? We're going to talk about all sorts of things that are going on in this space right now that we think are important to the future of blockchain, as well as society, right? There's a lot of implications about what's kind of happening right now all around us, and this is going to be an open conversation about that. So what's up, Ken? And we've got Daisy here as our Twitter Space co-host as well. What's up, Daisy? Am I supposed to say that? Am I doxing you every time I say your actual name? Oh.
You're giving out her social security number.
Exactly. Jeez.
Hey, mira, pero coño, con calma, amigo. So if you want to speak, if you got something to say today, just raise your hand. We'll pull you up here. I don't really have any particular topic to start on, Ken. I know you're always watching like the trading signals and kind of paying attention to what's going on in the money space. Do you want to give us like your initial thoughts on, and I don't intend this to be any kind of like doom and gloomy kind of thing. We don't want to just be like bashing and hating here. What we want to talk about is like, there's obviously a shift happening in how we exchange value in this world. Some of that's happening through currency. Some of that's happening through like community and products and software and all sorts of stuff, right? So we're just going to have an interesting conversation about the dynamic of how the value exchange is happening online and how we're going to measure that value exchange over time. We use money to do that, and the US dollar is the primary mechanism by which we measure money right now in the modern world, but that's changing fast. So what does that mean, Ken? What are your thoughts on that?
Yo, did you think that I was going to go just dark to a dark place immediately? Like I'm bullish right now.
No,
I think this is great.
I just wanted to say that for the crowd, making sure like they didn't think we were just going to sit here and dump for the next hour as we discuss this.
No, it's all positivity on my end. Like there's a bull market somewhere always, right? And we have to find out where that is. And luckily for everyone listening and in this space, this is one of the sectors, this is one of the verticals where you're going to prosper no matter what's happening, outside in the real world and in the financial markets. Value always goes somewhere, and the value, if, I'll kind of take it to the charts, on the macro level, there is nothing out there that's more bullish than precious metal miners, precious metals in general, and crypto, the majors right now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and anybody else that has, really strong utility in the market. I think that we're in a situation where, it's not going to be just today. I mean, we're having a great day today, but over the next months and years, the people who are just, committed to this industry are the ones that are going to thrive way more than what you're going to see in the traditional markets.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think we're probably in a time where we're going to see, and we've already seen this, right? We've seen lots of people change their status in life significantly through, these new investments, these new offerings, through whatever it is, whether it's selling their art, monetizing their community, building interesting products. I think we're going to see a big shift. And this is already like a generational wealth transfer happening as the baby boomers kind of retire. And to have on top of that, all of the kind of social conflicts, the civil conflicts, the financial conflicts, kind of all happening at once. It's kind of like a perfect storm here brewing. And I just look back, at different times throughout the world and throughout history, and just wonder like what it might have felt of if you were like aware of something happening, maybe what Plato was thinking about as he watched, Rome fall. But I don't know. Maybe that's not what's happening here, Ken. You're talking about like a whole different shift. And is that what we're seeing here? It's a whole new economy. We're restructuring the rules for how we share information, how we even build, like what a corporate structure is, or what an entity is that, like, I don't know. We're seeing all sorts of shifts, right? Where it's geographical borders don't make as much of an impact anymore as they used to. So I'd be interested if anybody in the crowd that wants to jump in here. We'd really like to turn this into a roundtable. So if you're in the crowd and you got some thoughts on this, jump into the game, put your hand up, request to speak, whatever it be. Let's get some folks up on stage. Ken, what say you to the things I just said?
Well, first of all, we have some great people in the crowd. I got a few friends in here, so hello to all of you. All of them. I'll just go through the entire list.
Just say what up, Squad.
No, but what I'm looking at is it is a shift, and I always look at I've been a trader for a long time, and I always look at the macro charts first, and then work my way down into the macro being, what does a monthly chart look like of silver and gold or Bitcoin? What does a weekly chart? And then you can start drilling down in as you see macro setups to get down. Okay, what's the hourly look like? What's the 15-minute look like? And then you can start positioning for moves. And what I like to say is big moves don't come out of nowhere. They are set up through macro structure, whether that be the topping of the S&P 500 or the bottom of Bitcoin or anything in between. They just don't happen. There is structure that sets up that allows these moves to build momentum and then break out and then explode to the upside. And what I'm seeing with Bitcoin, a lot of people don't have this on their chart, even technical analysts, but we had, what's called a reverse head and shoulders at about the $25,000 mark on Bitcoin. And that was the initial breakout. There's a lot of technical traders that are focused on this 30K level. In my mind, we already broke out. Like we broke out $5,000 ago. They just haven't realized it yet. And I think that we have continuation. I think that we're going to see Bitcoin with a 4 in front of it here before we have any major dip. And the same thing with gold on the macro level. I'm seeing a $2,900 target, and we're at 2,000 right now. So these are macro moves. And it's not to say you go all in on leverage, because you can have, everyone understands what's happening, or hopefully they do, in the traditional financial economy. We could have a situation where it's a March 2020 type moment, like a COVID moment, where the market just gets this huge flush down because of just something crazy that happens. Maybe the war escalates, maybe there's another virus, who knows what's going to come out of left field. But that, in my mind, is just going to be just a short, temporary, big push down, and then it's going to pop right back up, and we're going to stay in this macro structure that I've been talking about with all of these, what I call anti-fiats. And so I'm just bullish, and I think that the best time to accumulate was dollar cost averaging this entire way down, especially down in the sub 20K levels. But the people who don't use leverage, that buy quality NFTs. Even if it's not, we're not talking like the Bored Apes of the world. I'm just saying quality projects that are building, that have the funding to last, that have a great roadmap. You buy those NFTs, you dollar cost average into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alts that actually have true utility. You dollar cost average you into silver, gold, the miners, and you're going to win this next cycle. And it's here. And so I think that there's just so much opportunity ahead if everyone just keeps their cool, understands where the market is, where it's going, and this is your chance.
Just a note, this is not financial advice. None of this is a recommendation of investment. You should not take what we say literally. Like literally, don't mind us. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. Right. That's how you get away. That's what all the financial YouTubers say. This is just what I'm doing.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. So I see I think this is Dragon Spawn. Is that Grayson popped up? You got some thoughts here?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely will piggyback off of what Ken said. I have a different perspective on, kind of macro, long-term stuff. I'm more of like a logic guy, although I do follow technicals, and I do kind of agree with what Ken's been saying on the breakout with the reverse head and shoulders. But another way you can look at, Bitcoin and just crypto in general, and any other type of technological adoption in the past, it has a bit of a comprehension curve, a learning curve, right? And every single market bull run that we go through, more and more people get exposed and hear about crypto and kind of dive deeper into that rabbit hole and learning about the true utility and use case behind blockchain and the tech that is being utilized there. So I think we got decently exposed in the last cycle, and now I feel like a lot more people have heard about crypto. I mean, at one point I even heard my mother and grandmother talking about Bitcoin. So I think, cryptocurrency adoption and the price of Bitcoin and going back to all-time highs will just also have to do with macro comprehension of the technology being utilized on the back end. And I think that we're still 5 to 10 years away from, retail investors or regular people knowing or being able to even comprehend and see what's actually going on here in this kind of revolution we're experiencing. I mean, we're still extremely early, in my opinion. So I still think accumulating on these dips here, you can't go wrong. Stashing away a percentage of your paychecks to Bitcoin every month or however often you feel comfortable, and just holding on to that long term.
Grayson, I'm gonna push back a little bit on this.
Okay.
It's not 5 to 10 years away. It would be if we were in a natural cycle. You have to look at what the world economy is doing. Like this SVB, Signature Bank, like that initial banking crisis. That's not a banking crisis. That's a world financial crisis that's just now starting to crest. And we're going to see more of this. And you've already seen the DXY was at like 120, a few months ago, and it peaked, and it's already pushing down to like right at 100 right now. And that's a significant, that's 20, that's almost 20%. And that doesn't happen. You don't see, treasuries where they're at. You don't see bonds where they're at as far as yield, unless there is an issue. And I think that in a normal trajectory, it would be 5 to 10 years. But I think everybody who's holding something other than Bitcoin, precious metals, and select, commodities and alts. The people who aren't holding that, the normies of the world, they're going to get a quick shove into reality of them having their money in, their fiat in a bank or their money in the stock market.
Yeah, this is the wild card to me. It's what is the normal investor going to do if there is a significant dip in the regular market? If, let's say, the stock market goes down another 30% this year, people are going to liquidate their crypto before they liquidate their 401k just because of bureaucratic shit, right? Because the average person's not a hodler. So that's where I get into. It's like we have all these things happening. You have government regulation. You have this Fed now thing come in July. I know that's just going to be for kind of like interbank payments for now, but that's like the first step. And so you have all these you have all these things coming at once. It's like what I see happening at scale, right? And this is something you have to think about is you see power clinging on, and you see this in media, you see this in a lot of ways, and you're kind of seeing it in the dollar too, because the U.S. is trying to kind of impose their will on the world through economic sanctions. This is what we saw in Russia. We're seeing it backfire a little bit as these BRICS nations come together and try to propose something totally different. We'll see if somebody comes out with some kind of gold standard, with some kind of thing that actually be competitive. I think you still have so much of the settlement volume that actually happens in U.S. dollars and stuff. So I don't know. The wild card is going to be, how do the chips fall when kind of this power struggle that happens here between the digital world, the new economy, this new thing that's being built all around us, and you can see it, right? I can feel it. There's two worlds that we live in now. There's this world that happens on the internet where we're all here, we're all interacting. I mean, think there's only 20, 25 people here, but 30 people, whatever it is, I don't know, in the space. There's a couple more on YouTube, but like this is happening in lots of different ways where hundreds of people, dozens of people, thousands of people are getting together in interesting ways, and they're figuring out how can we do things to manipulate the value exchange between society, right? And that means what was the GameStop and the some of the stock manipulation stuff. There's they get, let's go get the short sellers and like bring down the hedge funds. And you saw groups of people on Reddit literally shake the whole financial industry. So the question is going to be, when things like that happen, when the disruption comes, when the chips fall, however the chips are going to fall, how does the average investor react? Right? Are they going to have diamond hands still? Are they going to be in the game, like saying, oh no, I'm here, I'm betting my future on this thing? Or are they going to be looking for other things? Are they going to panic sell everything? Are they going to be looking to liquidate and move into some new thing? I don't know. Maybe Bitcoin is that thing, but I don't know. That's where I have all the questions. Like that's where I think the chaos and the questions really come in, is like what happens when the chips actually fall. I wouldn't be so confident to think that I know anything about how that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I think, and then Ken, you can talk to this just because it'll add to the conversation, but like what I've noticed, at least in my time, is, Bitcoin will typically go on a tear, dominance will go up, and then tier 1 alts will take a rip, tier 2 alts, and then goes down to the low cap alts. And I kind of think right now, I don't know, it's just interesting. I don't want to say anything crazy, but I could see Bitcoin going on a tear. Alts will bleed a little bit, but then we could see a nice little alt season come and follow the Bitcoin tear. And then, NFTs will follow as well.
Yeah, I mean, Raymar, everything that you talked about what happens in a financial panic, traditionally, that's what happens. You have people that need liquidity and they sell all assets. And I know that you're not supposed to say this time is different, but this time is different. Like if you look at what happened when SVB and the banking and Signature Bank went down, and then you had a list of other banks that were, that potentially had the same template, that they were in trouble. You didn't see silver and gold going down. You didn't see Bitcoin going down. Like we've been just charging right through it. And so what I think happens when you're talking about a global financial crisis, which is, I think I wouldn't say it's on the doorstep. I think we're in the middle of it. Like, I think we've seen the start of it already. You're seeing Bitcoin and silver and gold and all these things already take off. I think before these cataclysmic events like really crest and show themselves to the general public, I think we're going to have Bitcoin and everything else much higher. it's not going to be like Bitcoin's at the low and then a crisis hit and pushes it down lower. I think we're going to be up higher in these levels so that if it does take a little dip, we're still going to be at a higher plateau. And I just think that this time is different, where when people are worried about, like, it doesn't matter if you sell your stock if the money is still in the bank and the bank is the potential attack vector. I think that you're going to see everyone come into something that they perceive that is not in the banking system, or that they know is not in the banking system, and that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, alts, NFTs, precious metals, like you name it. I think that's where everyone's going to be flooding.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, for sure, you're seeing the flood to precious metals. You can see that in the prices on precious metals. That's like the standard bearer. Everyone starts, becoming a gold bug when things get real crazy, and that's what you even see in lots of big nations increase their holdings in gold significantly. So, hey, if anybody's out there listening right now and you got some thoughts to share, you'd like to jump in, we would like to hear from you. We're just, a couple folks with some ideas about what's going on, but y'all typically know better than us. The crowd usually knows. So if you've got some insights to share, we'd love to hear from you. I see On Chain popped up here. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I agree with Grayson and Ken. What you guys are talking about from a macro perspective, it is unprecedented to see the world's reserve currency as volatile as like a shitcoin. I mean, if you see interest rates move the way they are, like the 10-year and the 2-year bond, which a lot of big institutions look at, and pensions and people with a lot more money than us, they look at that rate, and it's been so volatile, it affects everything, which bleeds into like the banking crisis with SVB and all the small regional banks. They got kind of their balance sheets destroyed because of their long-term duration bonds. So, I think there'll be something similar to what we had in 2020, where there was like a flash crash and oil went negative, like zero momentarily, which is insane. And stocks, Bitcoin, everything went down on like a short flash crash of like a week, but then they flooded the system with more liquidity. So I think coming out on that other side, when they are lowering interest rates and adding liquidity to the banking system and quantitative easing, infinity, Bitcoin is going to benefit the most from that. And then the larger assets like stocks and bonds will benefit too. And then eventually altcoins will do extremely well on the back of Bitcoin. So I think it's the best mechanism to profit from a fiat-based banking system and a fractional reserve system. Bitcoin will probably have a better return on investment than gold and silver over the long run, but gold and silver will probably be that safe haven. Same with real estate, anything that's fixed. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, there's two things I want to mention, and then I want to kick it over to Daisy and see if she has anything to add in. Is number one, when you're talking about Bitcoin possibly, being the biggest safe haven, if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, there is a potential structure that could take it up over 60% dominance, which would just be, an amazing move, compared to ETH and all the alts. So that structure hasn't triggered yet, but it is an option that's out there right now if it stays in its current form. And then as far as today, just this morning, Goldman Sachs and a bunch of other, I think even the Fed might have said that they're all expecting a recession here in the next month. They finally started to admit it. And if you look at price momentum and when precious metals have moved historically, they move the most in a recession. And so I think that this is just setting up just perfectly across the board for anything that that I call anti-fiat to make a move. And again, it's not going to go straight up. You could have some sort of event that could take it down for a day or two or three before it pops right back up. But I think the trend is on our side now, and it's been over a year of a bear market, and that's usually the average of when those last. And I think that NFTs are going to have their day. I think that altcoins are going to have their day. I think that silver, gold, and Bitcoin, they're all going to have their day. I'm trying to hammer it home to everybody. Like, this is the time. Like, get into position now, plant your seeds for the next bull market, because it's going to be coming. Daisy, what do you want to talk about?
Well, Ken, I will say that I've been planting my seeds already in crypto. I'm definitely think like Bitcoin is my gold and Ethereum is my silver. And I know about like the precious metals and all that stuff. But I think like for me as a person, like I do see crypto dominating kind of like the world. So I don't know. For me, I already started kind of buying every little dip that I could possibly buy and hope for the best, like long term. Obviously, there's a lot of fear right now. I get people like, hey, so what do you think about the dollar? And for me, it's like I like to be prepared, right? Like I own businesses myself, so I look at all this stuff and read articles, and obviously, like there is a panic right now. I mean, from Brazil, I just saw that some watch guru just posted something about that. How they're just kind of the headlines, the dollar is weakening, and yeah, I agree with you. I see this as I'm kind of bullish too, because everything, they try to always put things like fear out there for people, and sometimes this is opportunities for others. And I don't fear. I do the opposite all the time. When people say, "Hey, oh my God, crypto's dying," well, I'm buying more because I do believe on the technology and where the future is going. And with NFTs, I mean, you're already seeing compound NFTs being made, and how they're using different things in the NFT world too as well. So I don't know. For me, I agree with you, Ken. I do think that this is kind of bullish news. We just have to be careful. We just have to see, make sure that you're having a plan A, plan B, and plan C.
Yeah, I'm looking at a few things here. This is an article by JP Morgan Wealth Management. I don't know if that's what we should be listening to, but their take here goes, then there's crypto. They're talking essentially about market update. There are at least three economies. Is the mighty US dollar weakening? Is the article here. Maybe we can share this. I'm not trying to think what's the best way for me to share this, but let me just read this real quick.
Actually, put a pin. You could pin it on the thing, and then you could just pin it to the Jumbotron.
Yeah, I got to share it in chat first, though, right? I got to make a tweet about it.
No, you could just go to the space that we're in on the comments. Just comment the link, and then we could just pin it to the Jumbotron.
Nice. Okay, paste.
Boom.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, while you're doing that,
let me say, I got it. Let me read this right here. Good. So they go. Then there's crypto. Okay. The continued fallout from the implosion of FTX, the former crypto exchange, because this is like the mainstream shot here, right? So let's read what the mainstream investors are kind of passing around about crypto. Then there's crypto. The continued fallout from the implosion of FTX, the former crypto exchange, and its related hedge fund Alameda continues to ripple through the blockchain. Crypto lender BlockFi is reportedly filing for bankruptcy, and players like Gemini and Genesis are facing material liquidity shortfalls. While the crypto ecosystem may be living its own version of the global financial crisis, we expect the fallout to be limited. The total market cap of cryptocurrencies is down to $866 billion, which is about the same size as the market cap of Amazon. Coinbase, one of the largest publicly traded players in the space, employs a total of 4,000 workers. It's difficult to fit every story into one clear narrative. However, it does seem like the tightening cycle from global central banks is starting to have its intended impacts of slower growth, lower inflation, and less speculation. Another force that's dragging global growth lower, and so they're talking about crypto kind of just, that's their idea, right? It's kind of confirming what y'all are saying is that the average person, the typical investor, the person that's not in the game kind of sees crypto as, a fad that's on its way out, which is interesting to see as the price kind of comes up here. And that doesn't always mean that the price won't come back down. I mean, there's some smart people saying that, the pricing will come down. So I don't know. It's interesting, all the different perspectives that are happening in the space. And there seems like there's so many variables at play right now.
Yeah, there is. The what I when I talk to people who are not in crypto, I don't talk to them about Bitcoin. I talk to them about blockchain, and I let them know all of the companies, all of the sectors that are utilizing this technology that are building it out right now. Like the world's stock market, like all the stock markets are going to be on chain. Like all the banks, the Federal Reserve, like the Federal Reserve, the Bank of International Settlement, which is the BIS, which is like the the banker's bank for the Fed. They just came out with a video talking about I think it's called Project Icebreaker, and Project Icebreaker is like three federal banks like in Europe. I think it's like Finland, Sweden, like some of the Nordic uh, countries. They're they're doing this pilot where all three of those countries are starting their digital currency. We have Fed Now, which is coming out here, I believe, in June, which is the start of the central bank backed digital currency. You know, the world will be on blockchain. The Fortune 500 companies will be on blockchain. This is all going that in that direction. We're just from Bitcoin, and this is kind of where I bring it back to Bitcoin, is that is all going to be, probably private distributed ledger systems, and Bitcoin is the people's public option to participate in this blockchain revolution. And once I start positioning it that way, people start understanding like the gravity of this. Like, oh, I had no idea that the stock market was gonna work to put all the trades on the blockchain like that. And so it kind of opens up people's eyes, like, hey, maybe I am missing something.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, on chain.
Yeah, I was going to say, as someone that's worked for brokerages, and you see all of the middlemen that goes into like placing a trade or moving money around or doing anything that involves like a traditionalized exchange, stock market, or bank even. There's so much red tape involved with like transaction settling. That can be done on such more efficient scale using blockchain. And I think these big companies are recognizing that. If they can have a ledger that updates automatically across the world and it can be verified through consensus as opposed to like trusting a third party or a different brokerage that does settlement versus clearing, it just makes a lot of sense. I think that's going to change a lot of different industries. Real estate, if you look at all of the different costs involved with title searches, realtors, agents, Zillow takes a cut, etc. A lot of that can be done much more efficiently. And so eventually we're going to move to that new system. And I think the financial sector is going to be the number one beneficiary and the one that's adopting that first and foremost. And we're kind of already seeing that with DeFi and Uniswap and, of course, NFTs and tokens. So, yeah, I mean, that's the way the world's moving. So you're better off embracing the new technology as opposed to getting your lunch eaten by it.
Yeah, right. The question is always which is the technology that's going to win that dance. We've never seen big institutional power willingly give up their institutional power, which means none of these banks are going to be like, oh, let's go all in on this public chain. So they're all going to be building proprietary things. And that's what you're about to watch is the machine try to shove. Yeah, sure, the technology will be there, right? They may be using a blockchain behind the scenes, but they're going to shove whatever their digital foot down your throat they can get away with, on a proprietary system, because they're not going to relinquish the control or the centralized power that comes with, having basically your money tied up the way they want to tie it up. Web3 D3, what you got?
Hey, thanks for letting me speak. Yeah, I got like 3 points on this topic is all dying. So, we've seen the bank crisis, but like there's a lot of there's kind of another shoe to drop. Oh, I guess I should back up. So basically, the bank term program, they printed 4.3 trillion, for this bank term program. Okay, so during the COVID, they printed 4.1 trillion. So there's like another COVID that they printed, but that's kind of going in slowly. But there's another shoe to drop, which is commercial real estate. Like it's vacant to the tune of 30 to 40% because of post-COVID, people working from home. So all the big cities, people are not going back to the offices, and people have to remortgage these properties, and landlords won't be able to. So who's going to get stuck with this kind of dramatically devalued real estate? The commercial real estate. That's going to be the banks again. What does the Fed do when in trouble? They print. And so depending on who you listen to, people say between 4 to 16 trillion, right? So this was the reason why Balaji did the bid signal, and the Bitcoin thing, and I think Balaji put the end to the bear market. So that's one part. Second part is the GDP to debt ratio global is 365%. Okay, so kind of this is unsustainable. Like surely it feels like you cannot go. There is a limit to it, because at some point the interest rate you have to pay on your debt is as much as your GDP, right? So there is a limit. You cannot do this indefinitely. So is it going to be this year? Is it going to be the next year? At some point, it is going to be. A last point that I'm going to make on my run. I spoke to Amin from Tornado Cash and Reflex Finance last week. I tweeted in a reply. He's saying basically this is like a unwinding of the door, right? So when Luna goes down and unwinds, we know how that ended. Then there is he actually did a lot of experiments on. I kind of couldn't follow it myself either. He does Reflex Finance and Rye, basically how they trying to create non-bank backed stablecoin. Very interesting. And kind of he's talking about what happens when shitcoin unwinds. Something like this can be happening to dollar right now, and that's where I'm going to end my run. Thanks for letting me run.
Yeah, those are great comments, and yeah, nice information. There's a couple things that I want to talk about. Actually, I got 3 points of my own. I'm not so sure. I have a contrarian view on real estate. Most people think that we're going to have a
commercial real estate specifically, commercial real estate specifically, or houses, or like commercial.
Both. So I do see the headwinds, obviously, the variables that are ahead of commercial real estate, especially with everybody being able to do much more from their computer rather than being in office. But I think that there's a bigger wave. There's a powerful wave that's coming that I think is just going to push up both sides of the market, the commercial and the residential. And I've been thinking about this, like actually the past couple of days, because Wire bought a commercial building down in Tampa to house all of our devs. I'm probably going to jump back in the market on the residential side here fairly soon. And I was just deciding, when do I want to make that leap? And I've been seeing a few things that have actually turned me from a bear to opening up the possibility of being bullish on real estate. And I don't think I didn't imagine I'd ever say this until the past couple of days. And that is, I'm seeing, I wouldn't call it market manipulation, but I'm seeing the governments, not only of the US, but of the world, start to incentivize. And I think it's going to continue. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So out here in California, I've seen a bill that's trying to get passed where the government is going to possibly pay the 20% down payment on a house through some kind of structure. I didn't read totally into it, but if you collectively make less than $215,000 a year, that they would make that 20% down payment to basically get you in a house. So you see something like that happens, and that will naturally, just like in the run-up in the 07-08 crisis, it's allowing people to get into homes that they normally wouldn't be able to get into, which means that there is going to be there's an artificial floor that's rising to allow people to purchase. Another thing that I've seen that I think is probably going to take hold worldwide, when, just take for an example, a $500,000 home in the US 2 years ago, you had a 3% interest rate, and it was, X amount of dollars per month to pay that mortgage. Well, fast forward to today, and if that house is still $500K and it's on the market, and you have an interest rate that's double, 3%, that's double the payment for the same amount of house. So that was my bearish view, was no one can afford these housing prices at this interest rate because it's literally doubled their mortgage payment. Well, how do you get people into a house like that without lowering the interest rate and without lowering the price of the house? It's you increase the years on a mortgage. You make them 50 years. You make it an 80-year mortgage. This is happening in China right now, and it's allowing people to get into homes. And I think that I think the government is going to continue to find ways to print money, incentivize people to acquire assets that they normally wouldn't be able to get into. And I think real estate is prime for, that's just like a scenario that I see that could possibly turn a bearish scenario bullish.
I have a quick follow-up, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
I'm with you on. Thank you. I'm with you absolutely on the houses. Like they have been doing this in London for like a decade. That's exactly what they're doing. You know what you described about government putting the deposit. They have been, because the house prices risen so fast in London that even like high earners couldn't afford them. So they have been doing this in London for a while, and it works. So I'm with you in a household, but commercial real estate, like me, I'm never in my life going back to the office, and majority of my friends neither. Like, you know, I'm a developer, you know, all my friends are developers. Like, majority of my friends are never going back to the office. So, like, I don't see the bullish case for the commercial real estate. I can absolutely see bullish case, like, you know, houses. Yeah, everything is going to go up. As dollar, you know, it's not that everything is going up. The dollar is going down. Like, whatever you have, that are assets, all the assets are going to go up, and crypto is going to go up faster as it always does. But I just don't see the bullish case for the commercial real estate.
Yeah, the only play I see on the commercial stuff getting super, especially in some of these cities, I mean, like half of San Francisco is vacant right now. And I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, there will inevitably be some kind of resurgence at some level, but lots of people, like you say, Web3, D3 are, you know, moving away from city cores, moving to smaller cities, moving to places where quality of life is a little higher, where the hustle and bustle and craziness of the city is not going to potentially, you know, get you shanked at 2 a.m, you know, and people refusing to help you while you're bleeding out, you know, like happened to the Stripe founder or Square Cash founder?
Cash App.
Yeah, Cash App. A week ago, whatever it was. Like, it's like almost every day you hear some crazy thing about Gotham City. I mean, San Francisco, that is like going nuts, and there's no fucking Batman coming to save the day in any of these cities. And so if the policy continues to go, I do agree that the social contagion that's powering a lot of this is not going to get better, which leads me to believe that the dollar will continue to do what it's trying to do, which is pump. Like, you've never seen a major government go on the path that we're on through the history of time, inflate their currency like we're doing right now, and then be able to pull that back in. Like, so I don't know where that goes in a bunch of directions, but I'm not sure I'm with you on the real estate stuff, Ken.
Yeah,
not before things reset significantly. Like, we're already starting to see, you know, prices and rents and things like that come down. Interest rates are obviously pretty crazy right now for anybody who's trying to jump in. But I remember my parents talking about like 13 or 15% interest rates or something stupid like that. So we haven't seen shit yet. Just to let you know, this ain't the first time around the rodeo.
No, I'm with you on a lot of it. Like I said, real estate is not where I'm putting my money right now. I already gave you my core group. I'm just saying that you have to look at in this market across the board, whether it be crypto or alts or NFTs or, silver and gold. On the macro, I'm bullish. There could be some headway, but you have to be able to. This isn't an environment like it was in, the last, let's say, since 08 and 09, where the Fed started printing money and it was a stable environment and everything just went on this nice bottom left to top right structure of going up every day. You are going to have to be nimble. You have to pivot. You're going to have to pay attention. And my point about real estate is that you have to be open to possibilities. And I'm there, I was reading a few things and it kind of said, okay, what would this look like? Like, I have to go against myself, right? Like, I was bearish. What would be a scenario that would change my mind? And, those are just a couple of the topics that have popped up in the past few days that would say, if that came to fruition, if the government was just hell bent, focused on driving up real estate prices, they could do it again.
I mean, like I said, I'm with you in houses, but like, can you say specifically commercial real estate? Why would it go up? Because again, there's so many people I know never going to go back to the office, like never. You're never going to get me back in the office, and there's like, at least in San Francisco, there's like hundreds of thousands of people like me. So like, what is your case for commercial? I'm super curious. I'm with you on the houses. Like, yeah, I'm buying a house right now. It's a great time to buy the house,
yeah.
Low prices, and it's going up. But what about the commercial stuff? How do you make that bullish?
It's going to be market to market. I mean, I think that if you're in San Francisco, or if you're in LA or New York or Chicago or places where you're just seeing Philadelphia, if you're just seeing violence and looting and drug use just explode, yeah, those things aren't coming back. I think that if you're in select areas, I think that you'll be able to hold your value. I think that just so like I think I said it is, we bought a commercial building in Tampa about a little over a year ago, and since that year, we've seen the entire markets come down, right? Well, we're getting offers for, people are just coming to the door and knocking and asking if this is available to buy, and we don't even have a sale sign out, and they're offering huge amounts more than what we bought for it. So I think that in select markets you're going to see that. I guess I can say that you're right, but in the hot markets, maybe it's Miami, maybe it's Tampa, maybe it's a few cities across the Midwest. I think that there are opportunities.
Yeah, if anybody's interested, I listen to this guy, Reventure Consulting, on YouTube that does a really good job of breaking down like market by market, very statistically analytical, looking at trends, looking at time on market, looking at pricing trends, like all sorts of stuff. So he's got some interesting thoughts on this, deeper than we could probably ever dream to get in. He's always pulling up Redfin data and showing charts and doing, interesting things. So I don't know. I'm just a poor kid trying to build software. I don't have any like life transforming wealth or anything. So I don't know shit, right? There's lots of people with more money than me that are making moves that obviously they know more than I do. So I all I know right now is you got to be thinking about how to protect yourself. You got to be thinking about like, how do you make sure that you don't get wrapped up in whatever the next round of layoffs are. You got to be looking at diversifying your income. You got to be thinking about how do you kind of build value through whatever channel you can find on the internet, whether that means, starting a little business, getting a little startup going, a little freelance hustle, whatever it is. Just, I think, the focus needs to be on becoming resilient on whatever that is, and I think if you're looking at a proper strategy in an ideal world, you'd get a little bit of real estate and you'd have a little bit of gold and you'd have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of Bitcoin and a little bit of blah, 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 right? And that'd be a really diversified type thing. But the truth is, how much can you actually buy? Like, if you're not balling out, how much real estate can you get? You've seen some of that fractional stuff. So maybe that's the other value in crypto, where I think a lot of this utility is going to be what drives the next real bull run, like what you're talking about. And I'm talking about, I don't know what that comes off of, right? Does that come off of some big cataclysm where people just have to like figure it out? Or is that, what you're talking about positioning now and it's coming now kind of thing?
Yeah, I had a bullet point here that I wrote down, and you just segued into it perfectly.
Send it.
And it is, what is going to be crypto specifically? What's going to be that thing? We're not talking Bitcoin, like we're not talking, store of value. What is going to be that thing that just ignites the entire market against crypto specifically? And I honestly, I got to talk my book here, which is, I think what Wire Network has built with our universal interoperability protocol is going to be that thing that ignites the entire market. And I'll kind of give you a brief overview of how this is going to work. So right now you have blockchains that are not talking to each other. If you look at when I'm talking about interoperability, like you have to create a bridge, and a bridge it has exploits, and it's costly, and it takes time to bridge over. And think of it like the traditional world, where you're in the U.S. and you're trying to send money to, I don't know, the Philippines or Korea or Australia. Well, we're in the realm where it's like the Western Union, where it costs a lot of money. It takes a few days to get the money over to your family, wherever they're at. And what needs to happen is that seamless, quick, transactions that allows all liquidity to aggregate. So it doesn't matter where you're on in the world. It doesn't matter what blockchain you're on. It doesn't matter, I'm saying instant payments. So when you have our interoperability protocol that is going to unite all L1s and L2s and aggregate liquidity, like imagine a universal NFT marketplace where your Tezos NFTs, your Solana NFTs, your Ethereum, your Polygon, all of these are in one NFT marketplace, and you can buy, sell, trade. Like imagine taking a Bored Ape and your Cardano NFT, like creating a multi NFT trade opportunity where somebody on, let's say Daisy has, $100,000 in Solana tokens, and I have a Bored Ape that's on Ethereum, and I have Cardano NFTs, and I have some Tezos NFTs. We can make that trade in a universal NFT environment where I have multiple assets on multiple chains. She just has a currency, and that thing can happen. And I look at it like the stock markets. So the stock markets are all individual markets, right? Like there's the Hang Seng, the Nikkei, the NASDAQ, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. These are all separate traditional exchanges, yet they all aggregate. And so when you are on your Fidelity account, when you're on your Schwab account, you're able to just buy whatever stock you want, and it routes to that exchange wherever that company IPO'd. And it comes back and sits in your account. That's where we are taking crypto and blockchain, where it doesn't matter what asset you want, from one unified layer, from one wallet, it will route and buy and trade and swap and add liquidity seamlessly. And I think once we get into that environment where we're able to not just aggregate currencies and NFTs, but when we're able to aggregate liquidity all together, I think that's going to be, the spark that lights this next bull market.
Nice. Yeah. Go ahead. WebD 3D if you got.
Okay. I promised last time that I'm going to stop talking.
Nah, no sweat.
Just wanted to ask.
and if anybody else out there, if you've got thoughts, jump up, throw your hand up. Let's get in the mix.
Okay. These topics are basically all I think about, like what's going on with the economy and what's the next bull market in crypto going to look like. So these are the topics I think about the whole time. So, but quick question before I start. So, is Wire Network EVM compatible?
EVM and non-EVM. When I say all blockchains, I literally mean all blockchains.
So if you want to write smart contracts for Wire Network, is it like I can write it in Solidity?
You're able to write smart contracts and they will interact with Solidity smart contracts. Yes.
Nice. That's really cool. Yes. The bull market. Okay. Last question before I give my thoughts. So do you guys not think that we are already in a bull market?
I do. I think we bottomed.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So I think for me, the Balaji putting his schlong on the table and betting $1 million, that's it. He kind of ended the bear market. Look, it's up only, I think, every dip is for buying. But this is the interesting question that you asked. Like, what is going to be the next bull market? Like, kind of last time we had like a before Uniswap and after Uniswap, and it kind of unlocked, the whole generation of products and use cases, right? So what is it going to be this time? I think we need to move past this, degen stuff as much as I love this shit, right? We basically need to get normies to use crypto, not just because number go up, but for actual utility. So I'm gonna a huge proponent. We keep talking about it on Web3 Trenches podcast. The year of consumer Web3. So for example, there is this product called BackBuy. It's basically Patreon on. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. Just interview them. So it's like imagine Patreon. They are valued between $1 to $10 billion, and kind of depending on your politics, a lot of people don't like them because they banned and censored people, right? So imagine building it on Web3 in a way you can't. The founders, they can't censor you if you put the gun to their head. And then imagine if they manage to get like these big creators, especially the creators who were like banned by Patreon and stuff, or like are in danger of being banned by Patreon. If you get those people, and they have like millions of followers, and instead of saying, hey, support me on Patreon, they say, hey, support me on BackBuy, and BackBuy is crypto only. And this is how we get like millions of people using it, for the utility. I think that's. I mean, if we're going to get to like a next level, I think it's going to have normal people are using it just because it's better than Web 2 version of it. And with that, I promise I'm done. I'm slipping down the speaker.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the usability for the general public in blockchain is, we're still in a pond right now. We're still in a little bubble of the people who have actually taken the time to understand crypto, educate themselves to be able to get them a wallet, Bitcoin to start probably, and then working their way into Ethereum wallets and things of that nature. But we need to get the ocean to come into the pond. And that is, some of the things that we've built. Number one, what you're saying is it has to be trustless. It has to be trustless and decentralized. That we've been hijacked a little bit, the FTXs of the world, the Voyagers, the Celsius, those were all centralized products. We have to be able to build highly functional, seamless, decentralized products that have the user experience of Web 2. Like just how easy it is to get a Robinhood account, right, and start trading stocks. It has to be that way in crypto for us to get mass adoption. We're doing that. Again, I'll talk my book a little bit more with our Web3 registration, which is giving the general public, anyone who comes in, an identity, a wallet, a name service address in Web3 that's trustless and that has an account recovery tool, like a trustless account recovery tool, which means, in Web 2, if you sign up for Instagram and a couple of days later, you didn't write down you didn't store your password or anything, you have to hit the forgot password button, right? And then it hits their centralized database and they recover your account for you and let you, jump back in. We've done that in Web3 with a trustless account recovery. So non-custodial, trustless, decentralized Web3 single sign-on. That is reverse compatible with any and all chains that are currently out in the market. That is going to get everybody into crypto. We've already seen it. We've onboarded tens of thousands of users. Many of them have never had a crypto, let alone NFTs. They've never had Bitcoin before. And we've gotten them in without them even knowing that they're in Web3 until they're ready to figure it out. That's part of it. How blockchains function, creating a transactionless environment that the user doesn't see, so they feel like they're in Web 2. Again, those are the things that are going to create this mass adoption moment. Things need to be easy. If they're games, they need to be fun, and they need to have all the benefits of a trustless, decentralized environment. We don't build any products on blockchain that are centralized. That's just not where this industry is going to go. It has to feel like Web 2 with all the upside and benefits of Web 3, or we don't build it.
Right on. Okay, so I see we're right at the top of the hour, and I'm gonna maybe take this as a good moment to kind of wind some things down. I have a construction crew that's on my balcony, and they have been coming and making all sorts of noise, and they're typically on lunch break from noon to 1. So we got a window here, probably got another 10 or 15 minutes while they get back and start making any real noise. So I just wanted to give a heads up. We'll probably start winding this down. Any final thoughts from Crypto Empress or on chain there? Otherwise, I had this article that I was going to throw in here because Ethereum just did that Shanghai update. So I'm wondering if anybody has thoughts on that, and how much ETH is being withdrawn, et cetera, et cetera. But any other thoughts? Let's see. We got a couple.
The Mando just came up.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we'll keep those comments for another one. And there's a couple people that just popped in, so yeah, let's just we'll give the Mando a shot here, and then Rug Chug. What's that? Yeah, Rug Chungus can go next.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to follow on what was just said about the digital ID. I think it's even deeper than that. It goes more towards a digital passport. So it's not just single sign-on, but it's actually a digital identity that shows it's your wallet balances. It allows you access not just to the crypto ecosystem, but eventually the entirety of the digital ecosystem. But there's a downside to that, which is very similar to CBDCs, which is once that identity exists, it could be co-opted by bad actors. So I think it's eventually going to happen regardless, but it's just something that's really interesting to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that digital ID stuff is for sure going to get interesting. You can even see things like the what was that Restrict Act that they just try to shove down our throats. They're coming after tech hard, and they are looking for all sorts of ways to throw regulatory hurdles in front of people who are following the rules. The interesting thing about this space is that once you decentralize something and set it free, it's hard to kind of regulate that. So I don't know. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting point. The Mad Mando, what say you?
Morning, guys. No, I was actually wanting to kind of go back to what Ken was talking about.
We're never going back. Never going back. I'm sorry. Just kidding.
How easy it is to onboard. And one of the reasons why, we partnered up with Wire is because of how easy it is. And I think, again, living in a third world country or working out in Guatemala, our goal has always been to see people use crypto that would have never used it before, because we have to reach the masses. I think one thing, I've said this a lot, but one thing that kind of stuck out to me when we were in NFT London is, we're still in a very niche kind of eclectic kind of group where, we definitely talking about mass adoption, but there's not a lot of options on the table. I think that's what makes us extremely excited about Create, for example, as we've been, rolling out our beta version of Create, which is powered by Wire. We've seen a lot of people use crypto that have never used it, and they don't even really realize or even understand what Web3 is, or they have no concept of what they're even doing by creating an NFT, but they are on it. And I think that's kind of, where we're going, is people will be definitely using it without even realizing they are. And I think, that's one thing that will definitely, as we're entering this new season, as we enter a new season, that's what we're looking for. We are looking for people to be using it. And I think that's the beauty of what has been created, by Wire, and the tech behind it is we can onboard a lot of people without them even realizing that we are onboarding them into Web3.
Yeah, that's the exciting prospect of the future. And we've talked about, when that technology fades is when we'll really find the next layer of adoption and the real mass appeal. I see, did we lose Ken? Looks like Ken might have dropped off. Who knows? Twitter Spaces might be pulling pranks on us. On chain, any final thoughts? We'll go around the table here. We'll just do some final thoughts as we wind us down.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is get things that are not dependent on third parties or the traditional banking system. Try to acquire assets, Bitcoin. I mean, I like real estate as well. Crypto, precious metals, of course. So, yes, we'll see what happens in the next coming months or year, and be interesting to keep an eye on. So, yeah.
Right on. Thank you. Daisy, Crypto Empress, what you got?
No, everything has been very informative today. Definitely, love hearing different perspectives from people. But in general, I truly feel like this is needed in the space. Have a round table where people could come and talk. So I'm just here to, get that knowledge that we all crave for, right? So, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and thank you so much for, having me here.
Right on. Thanks for diligently hanging with us and helping promote and co-host the events. Rug, do you got anything else? Going once.
Sorry. No, I'm good. Thanks. This has been great. Appreciate it.
Right on. Okay. Well, thank you. If you've been hanging with us, I think we're going to keep doing the Twitter spaces. The YouTube space was still live too. So if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for hanging with us. We're going to go ahead and end that stream now. This is me clicking the end stream now button. Okay. Boom. And for